Hello on Education Monsters, this is Aurelie, and today we're going to talk about the early mistakes for online tutors. So number one, coming late. Of course, it's pretty obvious, but I know life happens. Sometimes we have traffic and we have external circumstances and you name it. We cannot always choose what's going to happen when we want to show up to something. But the best you can do is, as soon as you know you're going to be late, is that you could send a message to your student and let them know. But of course, it shouldn't be a routine, and try not to be late. Number two, not putting your phone on silent. This is really obnoxious, and the same for the tutor as for the student. But when you have a phone ringing, or not even ringing, but just vibrating, it gets really annoying because it's distracting for the student to concentrate when they're trying to think. When you speak, it's fine because it's your language, but when you're trying to think in a second language, you don't want to be distracted by your phone or by emails. Number three, not following up on payments. So when you have set a certain price for your classes, whether it be 30 minutes, 60 minutes, make sure that you follow up on who pays what, when, and it's not that you have to request payments before the class just to make sure that they're paying anyways, but sometimes it can also be beneficial if you want to have them pay afterwards, because they might give you tips, if you did a good job, if they're happy, if they're in a good mood. So make sure that they pay, because sometimes we don't always think about our finances, we don't always check our bank account, but then the students can also think, oh, you know what, they never noticed, I can just skip that. And it's also building this trust relationship. You want to have good finances and you want them to be clear on both sides. Number four, get your policies straight. So if you've been following the if you snooze, you lose, try to be consistent. So make sure that you protect your mental health by not just letting other people take advantage of, okay, so I came to my class 5 minutes late, so can we just go over 5 minutes afterwards? Or if I come 20 minutes late, then can we put those 20 minutes back to our next class, So if you don't want this, you have to let them know. You have to put your foot down and say, you know what, it's not a class per minute. If you don't show up, you don't show up. If you come late, you have lost those 5 minutes, and they will understand over time to not step over those boundaries, because who's going to pay you for the 5 minutes or 7 minutes that you waited? No one. So you also have to let them know that your rules are your rules, you're the teacher, and you have to make them understand that time is precious on your side as much as on theirs. The same way you don't want to be late, and you don't want them to be late as well. Number five, if you're dealing with kids, not sending a message to the parents can look shady, but not always. If you're dealing with kids, sometimes the mom or the dad sits there, and if you're okay with it, then go along. But I personally do not like to be watched over during my classes. I personally like to have a one-on-one with the kids so that they can open up without feeling judged, or without having the parents' pressure watching them, or the parent interjecting, no, don't say that. So I prefer to really be in front of the kid, but I understand from the parent's perspective that it's hard to trust someone that they just met online. So at the end of the class, it would be ideal if you could shoot a nice message. The class went well. Today we worked on this and that. Today the reading went fine, but maybe this part was not so good, and we'll make sure to work this on the next session. So parents really like to feel like they're putting money into a good teacher, their investment was worth it, that the kids are happy, because they can see it on the kid. But sometimes having this outside perspective from the tutor validating what the kid has said then makes them feel really reassured, and in the meantime you're also building the trust with whoever's paying you that money. And number six, over focusing on looks. So if you teach online, physical appearance matters, yes, totally agree, but putting too much time and energy into how you dress, or putting on so much makeup, it won't help you that much. Because here's what I've learned over the 2 years that I've taught online, is that internet connections are usually pretty good, but maybe for 40% of the times, it's not the best. And I know my internet is reliable. I pay the price for a family of 4, and honestly, sometimes it's not my Wi-Fi that goes wrong, but sometimes their screen is blurry, so you don't always see the little features, and it's not that it's a huge problem, but physically, if you want to dress up or put your little cute dainty earrings, then you know, the student might not notice it, but if you want to dress for yourself, if you want to increase your confidence, like totally fine with that. But just like don't put too much effort into it. It's not like a one-on-one person meeting, and it's not gonna have the same effect as if you want to look good. Number 7, guaranteeing results. So this is a huge one. This is a huge mistake that online tutors make at first. It's that it's really tempting to promise to student that they'll become fluent because you want to believe in your work and you want to believe in your methods, and you know that what you've learned during your certification or what you want to promise is gonna work because like you know you can do it, and so they can too. But the thing is, you cannot control that. And to avoid misunderstandings and frustrations, just don't promise results that sound too good to be true. You know, like become fluent in 6 months or become fluent in a year even. So for some people, it's attainable. For some others, not so much. And it's not a lack of not trying hard enough. It's just that we have different capabilities. And you cannot control what your student does. Like if they do their homework, if they maybe get distracted, or if they may be like learning other languages at home. So you don't really know what's going on in their schedule, so it's best to not just promise things. Number 8, following a book from front to end. So one of the most popular books that my students have requested to work on is the Alter Ego book. And I looked at it and I thought it was fine. It was like really good material. But I think the goal here, if you want to be a good one-on-one tutor, is to personalize your lessons. So it's good to have a guide, like a book, like starting from the alphabet and then going on to conversations and that. But the thing is, sometimes the student might not be interested in, for example, the chapter on clothing because they can't care less about fashion. So you might want to skip that, or you might want to have your own PDF. This is like the most ideal situation, is if you can have sheets and they can just have little sections of vocab, and this is a theme, this is a conversation, this is a dialogue. So then you can adjust that based on what they're missing, what they're exploring, and what they're interested in. So this way they will also feel like you're really listening to their needs, you're listening to what they're missing, and it might be best because then this way you can also share those as your own material. It's not someone's book, it's not like a book that you just found, it's your stuff, and you can really be proud of it that you've designed that. Number 9, not setting boundaries. So I've talked about it earlier, but also I wanted to talk about a certain dependence that can be not too healthy. For example, if the student has your number and they start texting you like every night, like how do you say this, and oh, I'm not feeling too good about my French or my English. Also, like maybe getting calls from them outside of class because they might be anxious about a certain situation. And it has happened that I've coached some students about certain events. So for example, they had to give a presentation and they needed my help to correct their language skills. And beforehand, they got too stressed out, so they kept texting me, am I saying it the right way? Can you please record yourself saying this part? And you know what? It's fine to help them from time to time. And I'm all about, altruism and helping out. But also, it's not your duty if you don't want to. So this is something you have to discuss with your own mind. Are you okay with that? Or do you feel forced to do that? So this is a question that you can answer. Number 10. Being shy in self-promotion. So when you're an online teacher, you're usually by yourself. And being shy on social media is a thing, but when it comes to your job, it affects your money. It affects how you can pay for rent, how you can pay for your food and stuff like that. So it's good that you can talk highly of yourself, or you can maybe make videos on YouTube or maybe on TikTok about how you would go about a lesson, and make sure that you have a certain community that can support you and spread the word, because you cannot always spend all your days talking about, oh, do you know somebody who might need a student? Let others do that. Let others talk highly of you, because you have coached those people, they have trusted your work, so they can also give you a good referral. And this is how it spreads, and this is how you get more clients. So it would be a good cycle to get into. And also, this is really important, but in self-promotion, I know it feels very unnatural, because as an employee, you're not used to doing that. You're used to conform. You're used to work for the group, for the company, for your boss, and so you're sort of sheltered. But when you're by yourself, you have to really make sure that you get out of this comfort zone and make sure that you're talking about yourself and your own business almost. And it's not someone else's business, but it's your own. And number 11, last but not least, I feel like this is one of the most important things that I've learned not only for teaching but in life, is the mistake of not admitting that I don't know. And this is so humbling once you admit that, okay, you just asked me a question and I do not know the answer, but you know what? Let's look it up together. And even though I'm a teacher, I'm not an expert. I don't know everything. I'm not an encyclopedia, and things are changing that now tutors are required to have more human skills, like compassion, kindness, listening skills, rather than knowing everything and transmitting that to the student. Students would rather have somebody who listens to them than somebody who just throw them knowledge all day. So this is really important. Sometimes you can pause and be like, you know what? I'm not too sure about a certain word, or I'm not too sure how to say this. Let me just look it up. And it doesn't make you less good of a teacher. If anything, admitting that you don't know something will make you more sincere, because this is what we want nowadays. We want authenticity, and it's okay to not know. Next time you will know. So I hope those are good advice that will help you if you're an online tutor. I hope that you'll learn from my mistakes, and thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and also go check out the podcast Education Monsters if you want to hear about Anglophone and Francophone guests. Thank you so much. Bye!